I'm going to be honest. I think the build to Backlash has quite frankly been lackluster. Now, I will say, really difficult to build a pay-per-view when you have 3 weeks to do it. Really difficult. But the build to Backlash, even still, I think has been very, very poor. Apart from 2 matches. One, Cena Orton, it builds itself. But the second one is Pat McAfee and Gunther. These guys have had 3 weeks and 3 must-watch segments. That incredible Gunther Michael Cole McAfee segment on the Raw after Mania. Then after that, that incredible promo by Pat McAfee last week. And this week, Archie, they had a really, really fantastic promo encounter, in my personal opinion. What's your take on it?
Oh, it was a fantastic promo battle. I mean, Pat McAfee. Look, we say what you want about Pat McAfee, but you can't deny that he's a genuine fan of this. He's somebody that grew up watching this, and who am I really to criticize someone for just living out their dream of in being in WWE or one of their dreams? And the guy is actually a really great promo. I mean, he was kind of cooking Gunther on the mic before Gunther started talking, referencing Walter, and that kind of that Gunther doesn't really feel like Gunther wants it anymore because he's reached the big time and because he's reached the top now. I feel like that's going to be Gunther's story post-Mania, is him trying to find that hunger again, I feel like, which I'm not mad at. And Gunther just came back with an extremely explosive promo. Obviously referenced Pat's daughter, I think, in her birthday. And then just absolutely kind of shot back on the mic perfectly and just said, I'm actually going to basically just maul you at Backlash. And I'm going to give you all of my undivided attention. And that's the scary part. The scary part, what I was expecting Gunther to say, you're not worth my time. But Gunther's mad. Gunther's mad after losing the title to Jey Uso. And he's giving all of his undivided attention to Pat McAfee. And that's the scary part about this. I think I think this match, a lot of people are ruling it out. I think it's going to be one of the best matches on the show. Storytelling wise, I think Pat McAfee is going to get absolutely demolished in this, and rightfully so, because to me, a lot of people complaining about this. I think this is the perfect way to follow up Gunther losing his title to Jey Uso post Mania, and then you can kind of build towards him getting towards that title again.
Yeah, I do think that is the way it's going to go. I think Pat McAfee, to your point, Archie, is going to be in trouble because Gunther's, his full attention is on him. Line of the promo is what I Make Beat said, Waltering around.
Yeah. Great.
Fantastic.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, as I said, Pat is something that I admire about Pat is he's not playing a character when he's doing these things on TV. He's being himself. And a lot of people might find that annoying, kind of how overly excited he is a lot of the time. But I kind of just think that's how he is as a person. And I mean, I'm not going to fault somebody for getting a job for being themselves.
Exactly. And I think he has fun, and it's clear he's having fun, and the fun is almost infectious.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I also think the timing of it being in Omaha and it being such a football city, something that Pat's so tied to. That crowd was the perfect venue for this promo to happen. And I understand there were probably some lines that, whatever you could argue are like, oh, low hanging fruit. He gives the nod to the Nebraska football coach, right? He gives the nod to the local stuff. Mm-hmm. But the timing of it, given his ties to, right, like famously the game day at Nebraska, when he first started College Game Day, he had the crowd going crazy. They love Pat there. So to have a crowd that was already behind Pat and him deliver such an impassioned promo against Gunther, it made Gunther's lines about, you have my undivided attention, I'm going to let you go tonight, land even more because the crowd had this weird hush. It was like, oh shoot, Pat's getting one over on the microphone, and the clock just comes back.
It was fantastic. We got a couple of comments here I want to get to real quick. Firstly, Giancarlo commented on Instagram before this, now on Cheer. Absolutely adamant that they want Sari back in WWE. Absolutely adamant. I believe they're under contract elsewhere, but
I look, I don't want Saray back in WWE. I much prefer to see her doing the brilliant work she's doing outside of WWE right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see her back in WWE, but you know,
At the right time. At the right time.
Yeah, I think she's under. I don't know where is she
Is
under
it
contract
Is it
right now?
Stardom? Here we go. We got to do a fact check now.
Yeah, no, Suka Ban.
Oh right, okay.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'd like to see it happen if it's possible, but I don't think it will be. But oh gosh, some comments about Paige now as well. We're going really off topic. But Fernando says, I think this should be a street fight. I Make Beat says, I think Pat gets squashed to write him off for his other work commitments. Clark, is the college football season about to start by any chance?
So they generally speaking, like they're about to start as soon as the school year ends, essentially, right? Coming up at the end of this month for most schools. It's a little different depending on the university. That's generally when you're going to start summer training camp. And College Game Day usually does their summer training camp tour, which I'm assuming Pat McAfee will be a part of, where they go visit different universities and do interviews with some of the, you know, the key players and the coaches and whatnot headed into the season. So the season will start in the last week of August, early September. But the training camp aspect of it, the summer tour is one of ESPN's biggest and most watched features because individually, right, if you go to a major university, for example, you know, University of Texas fills the stadium with 100,000 people for every game of the year. When they go to the University of Texas to break down the training camp and do the season preview stuff, and Pat's there and all those interviews, the numbers are astronomical on how it's watched. It's stunning how big of a business it is.
You can either have a front row seat on Monday Night Raw, being a commentator, or you can watch some kids run around training on a field.
The big thing is it's not necessarily that they're covering just the training. It's the preview for the season. So it's like a compilation of interviews and the storylines. They kind of go over the schedule. It's a really long, cool feature. Honest to goodness, if they did something similar to the Premier League, trust me, you'd be fascinated in the offseason. Like they do as a college football fan, it is something I look forward to because it gives you sort of the lay of the land headed into the season, considering with university and with college football, you're having students graduate and whatnot. There's a lot of turnover with the teams. So you're starting to realize like, oh, this kid was a sophomore last year. He's going to be the starting quarterback. He's a junior now. And like, you kind of get to know him, right? And things like that. It's more about that than it is necessarily just footage of like the training camp and the early practices itself. It's about previewing the season.
Corey Graves.